Okay, we're recording. I was out at 5 o'clock, well, 5:30 this morning, 5:25 till 6:20. So the bike was nicely warmed up. It's really sunny, but look at the seat. Hopefully you can see that. It's still frozen. It's now 28 minutes past 10, so 10:30. We've still got ice has formed on the seat, so please remember all day long to ride safe and smooth as possible. Watch those roundabouts, bends, braking distances, all of the things that us bikers watch anyway, but just need to watch a little bit more today. Okay, so she's normally covered like the bike next to me, which is my old girl Dusty. Okay, let's get going. Sun visor down a bit, I think, today, and you'll realise why I live in Wales. It's those views that got me to move where I am, or from Hammer Hempstead. I'm hoping you see less of my speedo as well today. I've angled my GoPro a little bit differently. And more sea. And across there is the Gower, if you can see right across the estuary. Trying to avoid the drain cover. And more sea. Okay, I've just been listening to Grumps of Grumps Rides. 4074 I think his numbers are, but I'll link him in the description when I put this up. And Grumps's ride today, he was riding back in November. He shared it today, which is the 15th of December. He had ridden up to Llandovery to a cafe. I know he likes up there, but Grumps, I actually like the other one that's on the corner, so you'll know which one I mean. So when I go, I'll be getting a different slice of cake. I've actually been there with Grumps to my favourite cafe. So if anyone knows Llandovery, can you guess what the cafe is that isn't the one that everybody goes to, or quite everybody goes to? Okay, getting back to topic, Jane. Just realised I've given a great big spoiler for his video. So, following on from Grumps's video, coming back from Llandovery, and he mentions a story about a key. I thought I'd share a story about a recent journey that my husband and I took. Now, the reason I've got Raven Vulcan is because my old girl that I just mentioned, Dusty, has come to the end of her days as she stands at the moment. Decision isn't made. I get far too attached to bikes, so we'll see what happens for her future. But there's only so much time you can take trying to get your bike to run when you really need a bike that you can just push a button on and go. So that's when Raven comes into my life. But before this, during the days when I had nothing to ride, I had to go pillion, and if you know me, I hate pillion. I absolutely hate it. I like to be in control. Been riding for too long to be sat on the back. So anyway, on the back of the trike, which is called the Stormbringer for a reason. There was an almighty storm. Now, someone mentioned to me about Barry, doing a video on Barry yesterday. That's Jay's rides. That will come up, but Barry really isn't overly interesting. But on this particular night, sorry if you're a Barry fan, but there we are. On this particular night, we were going down to a club event, a bike club event in Barry. So shout out to any of the boys or girls listening. So I jumped on the back. and it was just horrendous, absolute horrendous storm. You're talking from junction 48 on the M4 right down into Barry. Now, honest to goodness, I just absolutely holding on. If there hadn't been a rack and a massive sissy bar on the back of his trike, I just wouldn't have been there. I wouldn't have even tried. So there we are anyway. Get as far as the M4, Port Talbot. He's got no working speedo on the trike at the moment. Don't judge us, we're budget bikers, and he likes chops and things like that. So his phone is the speedo. So, you know, legally that's fine. Legally you're fine without one, just not fine if you get caught speeding. So he'd his phone set up in a waterproof case on his tank, and speedo app on it, nice, keeping an eye on it. He's in a 50-mile-an-hour zone coming across over by Port Talbot. It's really open, and you can guess it, can't you? The wind blew his bike off along with 50 mile an hour. Not his bike, blew his phone off, Jane, not the bike. The bike wasn't attached to the trike. So anyway, blew off the phone. Rich looks down, gone, the phone's gone. So starts looking around him on the trike, which you can guess what I was thinking. Goodness me, something's gone on the trike, as in, you know, what are we going to break down with next? So pulls over, we have a discussion, check the trike over. It's not wedged in the trike anywhere. My observation is it is a busy Saturday night. I think it would have been Friday or Saturday, and you just can't stop on the M4 and look for a phone that's probably just been run over already and or smashed on the fall. So we had to make the decision to leave the phone. It's insured, I say. It's not a problem. Don't worry about it. It's not, you know, it's okay. We can cope with this. It's all right. Yes, we have bad luck, but it's fine. So we leave the phone. We have a really good night. Not a problem. Coming home, absolute, even more horrendous. I won't even cover the getting lost going into Barry and out of Barry, because you might as well just add music to us going round and around trying to figure out where we were. But anyway, on the way home, I get to Pyle. I'm sat on the back of this pitch black motorway ride in the absolute raging storm, and I just feel this, you know, something came across you like black plastic and wrapped right across you, dragging you back in the wind. Yeah, that was the moment of panic with me. And I'm like sat on the back and oh my god, what is that? And I honestly thought, I'm just going to get blown off this trike, I'm going to die. And I'm not like that too often, I promise, but it really was very, very sketchy. So I suddenly realised that feel around, it's actually my cut. Like my, if you know bikers, we're bikers, we wear cuts, we're in clubs. I won't be talking clubs, so don't worry about that. But anyway, my cut had blown open and was basically trying to fly off the back of me. Thanks to the sissy bar, it didn't. And that's the only thanks, because in that moment of panic I didn't even realise what it was. So I'm then holding my cut closed with one arm, holding onto the frame of the trike with another arm, and my back slammed into the sissy bar to try and make sure my cut didn't fly off, and I actually stayed on the bike, on the trike. So goodness me, just reliving it is horrendous. If I'd been on a bike, I'm not sure I'd have actually gone over. I think, you know, we would have got off before that. But Richard, you know, at that point has clearly had enough as well, and pulled off at Port Talbot. And I just said to him when we come down the slip road, I said, just stop anywhere. And when he stopped, he got off traumatised, just literally stood over, hands on knees. I said, look at me. He turns around, he looks at me, and I'm literally holding my cut close, still holding onto the trike, and explained to him what had happened with my cut and the fact that I'd been riding with it like that since Pyle. We made it home. We went the back roads from Port Talbot. We had to get back on the M4 very briefly and back off again, and that was the point of aquaplaning in the rain, because obviously it was raining as well. So that was stage 1 and 2 of the story. Stage 3, skip forward 10 days. 10 days later, I get a phone call on my mobile by someone saying, "Have you lost a phone?" I'm like, "Yeah." "I found your phone." And I'm thinking, right, okay, this is absolutely a scam. Gotta be, you know, I'm a bit of a, well, I'm a Londoner, I'm a bit sceptic about these things. So, scam, head is on, yeah, right, okay. So, he says, "I've got this phone." So I said, "Okay, can you take it to the police station?" Now, normally, that's not a problem. I wouldn't get the police involved. It's a lost phone, it's not the end of the world, we can deal with that. But I honestly thought this was a scam, because I'd approached the insurance company of O2, which it wasn't insured for. It was only insured for accidental damage, and because we didn't have the phone, it wasn't insured, because it wasn't accidental, it was lost. So anyway, given the fact that I'd already contacted someone and everything else, I really thought this is just someone's got hold of my number somehow and it's a big old scam. So the guy carries on. There's 2 guys on a speakerphone. Turns out they are actually road crew on the M4 at Port Talbot, and what gave it away was they questioned what was on the phone at the time, because it was some sort of weird calculator. Now what it was the battery 10 days later, 10 days guys, was still working, and what they were seeing was the speedo app. It was on 0 with all the numbers that go with it in terms of what miles you've done and average speed and this, that and the other. So not only had the battery lasted, but although I'd cancelled the SIM and had a new SIM sent, the number had stayed, and the phone was still working. They got my number, they phoned me. So basically, to Grumps' video on what have you lost, well, I'm raising it, what have you lost off a phone, off of a bike or trike, or even out of a car? Let's face it, you know, things get lost. So what have you lost on a journey that would, you know, would amaze you that you found it? And okay, we're in a bit of a sketchy place here, so sorry car. Okay. Roadworks. Okay, so my question was, what have you lost or thought you've lost off a vehicle, a bike, trike or car, that turns out wasn't actually lost? And tell us your story. If you're a YouTuber, maybe you can make a video of it and give me a shout out. It's Lady J Rider. And to Grumps Rides 6074, I'll put the link in your thingy, in my thingamajig down the bottom in my comments. And it would just be really lovely to hear your funny story, and hopefully it's got a good outcome, because that's what mine and Grumps has got. So on that, I'm just going to leave you with some sunshine.